Right here, y'all, Rickey Smiley Morning Show with your coronavirus updates. Morehouse, well, I can't say, yeah, you did go to Morehouse School of Medicine, but you represent yourself, Dr. M.J. Collier. What up, Dr. Collier?
Well, good morning, Rickey Smiley. We are so glad to be here this morning with your coronavirus update because the coronavirus continues to march on. It took us 98 days to reach 1 million cases and only 16 days to go from 3 million to 4 million cases. So the new infection rate is not slowing down. It continues to march and continues to create havoc. So let's look at the questions that we're having now. The CDC has changed their guidelines and revised them in reference to quarantining if you test positive. You should quarantine for at least 10 days after the onset of symptoms. Quarantines can end when you show a general improvement in symptoms, including being fever-free for 24 hours without the aid of fever-reducing medicines. So no Tylenol, Advil, Motrin to bring your fever down. If you're asymptomatic, you can end isolation after 10 days after the first date of a positive test. So you get tested, that's day one. 10 days later, you're back out. You can go back to work. You're back amongst your family. So that is a complete difference from what the 14 days, as well as the requirement that you get two negative tests within a 24-hour period. So, one, it was very difficult for people to do that because even testing facilities didn't want to waste a test on somebody who had already tested positive. And so they didn't want to do 2 additional tests. So that's a more reasonable guideline, and it's also medically accurate to do so. So, Rickey, one of the questions that has been raised in the last week, everybody's talking about the antibody test, and it was very clearly described and discussed by Dr. Fauci and Dr. Deborah Birx. She is the U.S. Coronavirus Response Coordinator. You see her now. She's the face of the coronavirus when they have the White House briefings. And she stated quickly that you should be reassured that when you get an infection, you make antibodies. Your body remembers how to do that. So you may not currently be making antibodies. So if you do an antibody test that was positive and then your antibody test turns to negative, if you get reinfected, your body remembers that and then quickly continues to manufacture new antibodies. So much quicker than the second time that you're exposed. So you shouldn't be concerned you shouldn't be concerned. That's correct. If your antibody levels decrease, that's not important because your body has memory. There are things called T cells that will immediately manufacture those same antibodies, and they are neutralizing antibodies. So the antibody response, if you have one, then you have it. A patient restated to me yesterday, it's like having the measles. You get it one time and your body remembers how to make those antibodies. So that's something very simple, even though this generation doesn't know what the measles are. Measles, chickenpox, all those childhood diseases that you would get one time and you wouldn't get again. So you have an antibody response that should be mounted, and we are learning how long that response will last, but it's going to give people immunity. As I have stated before, the science of immunology has not changed. It's not going to change. If your body gets infected, then you're going to have a response to it, and if your body makes antibodies, you have protection against that disease. So that's what we need, and that's what we have to have in reference to this coronavirus, even though that was good news as far as vaccinations and vaccine candidates. The government is committed to buy over $1 billion of vaccine from Pfizer Pharmaceuticals. So that's at least 5 that are United States manufactured, and there's 2, one in the United Kingdom and one in China, that also are showing great results in reference to the coronavirus treatment.
Wow. All right, let's go to the phone. Hold on, let's go to the phone right quick. You're on with Dr. M.J. Collier. Good morning.
So I was just calling to get his opinion on kids returning to school and what his recommendations are for any type of preventative or like immune boosting supplements, things like that.
Hold on, Dr. Collier. You can answer that on the other side. The question was about the kids returning to school. We got Dr. M.J. Collier, y'all. We're going to answer that on the other side. More coming up. Rickey Smiley Morning Show.
This is the Rickey Smiley